Yeah, so maybe we start, Ahmed, with a short karakia.
Okay. Po hihiri, po rarama, po oti, pakaro, po ote tangata, po ote aroha, te po ehere nei I a tau tau, maore ora ki a tatau, mahaumi I hui I tai ki e. May clarity be yours, may understanding be yours, through reflection, through personal endeavor, through respect, the virtues which bind us as one, may we be filled with well-being. Haumi I hui I tai kie. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
As it was in the beginning, is now, never shall be, world without end. Amen.
In the name of the Father,
Amen.
and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
And to follow that, thank you, Ahmed. To follow that, maybe a brief background of what had happened last week. So we are in the 7th session, and maybe Maya can provide us what had happened in the 6th session.
On mute.
You're on mute, Maya, are you?
Oh, the mic is probably not working.
Yeah. Dragon.
Yep.
Wala pa.
Wala pa. Okay, so maybe I can do.
I'm on mute.
Oh, yeah.
Yan. Okay, good.
Oh, good. Oh,
You're muted.
you're now muted.
Okay. So maybe Ahmed, you can do it. Thank you.
Last week we talked about NCEA and how our students can use this to do different pathways after they leave their school. They have the option to go to the university, to a polytechnic, or go apprenticeship, or go directly into a job that they choose to do. And we discuss all, but the main focus of the discussion from last week's session was all about NCEA, how it's done, who takes the test, where do they take it, when do the students take it, and basically what's the purpose of NCEA and how it is related with NZQA and all other ministries of part of the Ministry of Education. And today I think that the discussion will focus more on the other learning pathways for the students, other than them opting to go to the university. So they have the option to go to polytechnic institutions, as well as do other learning pathways and apprenticeships.
Okay.
Did I cover it right?
Yeah, all good. Thank you, Ahmed. Let me just share my screen first to you. And just to be a introduction to what Marama is sharing later. So as you know, the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about tertiary education is the university, especially for us Filipinos who, of course, have a very strong feeling about our children getting into tertiary education. The first thing that comes to mind is going to the university. So in New Zealand, we have 8 universities, as you can see there. We have AUT, Lincoln University, which was part of University of Canterbury. I think it became a university in early 1990s, the focus of which is around agriculture. We have Massey, University of Auckland, University of Canterbury, University of Otago, in Dunedin, University of Waikato, and Victoria University of Wellington. In terms of medical education, we have only actually 2. That is the Auckland University as well as University of Otago. In saying that, actually most of these universities have their own specific focus or area of discipline, I would say. That is the focus of them. When we talk about university, they are the ones who actually provide or offer degree and higher education level for their students, for the graduates. When I say higher education, this could be from levels 7 to 10 qualifications. There is a focus on research when we go to university, and usually the delivery is theory-based. So you go and sit down in a classroom or a big hall, 100 of you or 50 of you or more than, with a lecturer giving you the lectures for that particular topic. So that's just a kind of an overview of what happens when we talk about a university. So we have also what we call the ITPs. These are the Institutes of Technologies and Polytechnics in New Zealand. We have 16 of them, as you can see, from north until down south, SIT in Invercargill. So as Marama has mentioned, the ITPs will be joining together on the 1st of January 2023. They will be becoming Te Pukenga. So it's a one super big institution, and all of us, all staff from all these 16 ITPs will become one under one institution. And it will be, including the students will becoming, all of them will become students of Te Pukenga. So what does a polytechnic or this Te Pukenga offer for the students? They can offer a certificate, diploma, or degree, and now even they offer postgraduate qualifications. So they have all areas of expertise in terms of their focus. In developing the Te Pukenga, they were talking even of regional focus for different branches of Te Pukenga. For example, in Wellington, they have not yet decided it. I think they're deciding it one of these days when they're talking about regional focus and how wide is that particular region. For Wellington region, or even beyond Wellington region, there is some specific focus for that, and what institutes comprise that. So it can be Welltech, Whitireia, and even down Nelson. I didn't put Nelson here, and MIT.
Nelson Marlborough.
And Marlborough, yeah. So when I say certificate, this can be from level 5 or even level 4 levels. And there's a Otago Polytech, for example, offers a level 10, a doctorate degree in some area. So this is practical and skills based, which means that there are more hands-on approach to education. So that's just a general overview of what the ITPs are. So we have also the Wananga. So these are actually tertiary education, which is focused on Maori. So that the Maori ways of teaching and learning are incorporated into the education. So philosophies, principles, and approaches is being part of the delivery of education. So we have 3 main Wananga in New Zealand. So Te Wananga o Aotearoa, Te Wananga o Raukawa, which is in Otaki, and Te Whare Wananga, what's that one? Awanui Rangi in Whangarei and in Auckland. So basically it's the same as the ITP, but they also offer certificate, diploma, and degree postgraduate qualifications. For example, the Te Wananga or Aotearoa, I think it offers as well a level 10 qualification. So what is quite unique about the Wananga is that a strong connection and being rooted into Maori, Te Ao Maori or Maori worldview. So it's also practical and skills-based delivery. And as I mentioned, it offers higher education as well. So we also have the private training establishments, which we call the PTEs. So these are privately owned and funded polytechnics. They say that it has to be enrolled there. It gets higher fees compared to ITPs, which are government owned, and requirements can be a bit more lenient. So we have actually a long list of PTEs. The one that I've taken here to put here are actually just those who are beginning with E, F, and H, just to fit into this slide. So, and the composition of the different PTEs is what we call the ITNZ, so Independent Tertiary Education New Zealand. So they come together, or each of these institutions is represented into ITNZ. So when we hear that word or phrase, it's the composition of different PTEs. So we also have what we call the QTI. So these are actually, aside from the PTEs, there is a group of schools, of institutes that form together and saying that we are a group of PTEs who are very focused on the quality of education that we provide. I think there are 10 there, but I believe there are 12 members, PTA members, who comprise the QTI in New Zealand. Okay, so you have your future skills. I'm familiar with Whitecliff as well as with Laidlaw College. If you would like to learn more about them. So we may ask, how about those training to become police? So these are actually specifically government training establishments and those in the defense force. So they are not specifically an ITP, they are not a PTE, but they're actually government owned. I remember when I was still working in WellTech in facilities department, we used to have students who joined the block courses in electrical studies, would go to WellTech for their block courses. So specific trainings that are actually required of them to be in the Army. So just to let us know that we have those institutions in terms of training the future police and people in defense force. So apprenticeship, what do we understand about apprenticeship? So we have also this, we often hear this word, but these are actually opportunities for people who may not fit or who may not want to go directly into an ITP, a PTE, or a university directly, but they would like to be involved directly in a work environment. So we have apprenticeship for carpentry, for example, building, plumbing, electrical, even engineering, and hairdressing, agriculture, tourism, and sports or fitness. So what do they do? First, they work for and learn from an employer. They attend some relevant courses, and they complete practical and written assessments. So lesser yung classroom time, but more on the practical side of doing things. So the benefits of having the apprenticeship is that they earn while they are training, and the employer provides them with a minimum wage actually. And then they are gaining technical and practical skills. And at the end of the apprenticeship, they would be able to gain a minimum of level 4 certificate, which in working with an ITP or a PTE, they can be offered that qualification. So in a sense, they can also graduate with a level 4 after completion of the apprenticeship. And many of them would sometimes go beyond apprenticeship and go for a diploma or a degree even. So the providers for the apprenticeships are initially what we call the ITOs. These are the industry training organizations, coordinating with the different employers where apprentices can go and do the training. And this is also working with, who are working with the different tertiary education institutions. So by 2023, starting in January, all the ITOs will be working directly with Tepukinga or with PTEs that they would like to associate with, or Awananga. So that will be the process by start of next year. So let me just give you an overview of the qualifications and levels in New Zealand as we understand it. I think Ahmed has already discussed this a bit in passing last week. But when we talk about the different levels in New Zealand education, it's easy for us to remember because they're actually numbered. So we have your level 1, level 2, level 3, based on the credits that the student may have received even from secondary education. And then from level 4, level 5, level 6, and 7, they can go to either a ITP or PTE and receive their qualification from there. And then you have your degree at level 7 or a graduate certificate. And then your level 8, which is when you've completed your degree. Some people proceed for a postgraduate. It can be a level 8 certificate, postgraduate diploma, or a bachelor's honors degrees. And at level 9, that means that you have completed mostly of the level 8 courses or requirements. And upon completion of your master's thesis or an equivalent work, it can be a smaller scale research project that you need to complete, or even sometimes a practical requirement, which is equivalent at that level, and you can get your level 9 qualification. So at level 10, that's a doctoral qualification. That means that you have completed your master's. And then it can be a doctorate, or a PhD. So at level 10. Okay, so as I've mentioned, some of the ITPs and even one of the Wanangas, as far as I'm sure, offer a level 10 qualification. Most, or if not all, of the universities offer a level 10 qualifications. So I've just wanting to share with you as well this information in terms of the average salary for a bachelor's degree graduates. So when they started, simula sila ng kanilang career, itong mga areas, these areas of of their career, ito yung kanilang posibleng again as the start of their employment. As you would see there, pinakamataas, the highest one is on energy and utilities, and the lowest in government and public service. This is a kind of broad description of the title, but I'm sure there are still different layers on that. And for example, management consulting. So there may still be different layers in technology, for example. But this is a general kind of average or idea of what a graduate from university, from an ITP or a Wananga can potentially get when they finish their bachelor degree. I would like to emphasize as well here that at this time, actually, there's no more, for employers' perspective, there's lesser differences in terms of where you're coming from in terms of education, as long as you have the bachelor's degree. From what I know is that most of the employers would not necessarily see where you got them as long as you have your bachelor's degree at level 7. So what I was saying in that particular one in terms of taking the picture is that the average bachelor degree salary in New Zealand is 64,000. The highest is the 72, could be the lowest, followed by healthcare at 63 and engineering consulting at 62. And that's me. And then I'll ask Marama to continue from where I left off in terms of career pathways, Marama.
Yeah, and did you want me to talk through the slides at W&W?
Sure, definitely, that would be very helpful.
I'll just share the screen.
Feel free if you have questions to ask, if you have, kung may mga tanong po kayo.
Can you all see that?
Yes, we can. I can.
Yeah, that first one is just, we've already done that part. So we'll just begin with Hua, Whatira and WellTech. You may have talked to the group about that already. We're an ITP, of course, you've already touched on that. Whatira is based in Porirua and WellTech is in Petone. And another campus that we have is in Wellington Te Auaha, and also our cookery and hospitality in Cuba Street. And there's Tupukenga, and Joey touched upon that as well. We're all ITPs are transitioning over to Tupukenga, so one polytechnic under one umbrella. That's starting to happen now, but for Ākonga, those are learners, we'll start witnessing that in 2023. So every student that will come in 2023 will be enrolled as a Tupukenga student. So ITPs, as Joey touched on, as part of Tupukenga, together with all other polytechnics in New Zealand. Yeah, I've just said that, 23. And what is vocational education? Again, that's been touched upon: degrees, apprenticeships, pathway qualifications, postgraduate study, and so much more. If it's hands-on, industry-led, career-focused training, it's vocational. So it's very much applied learning. And for lots of learners, that is important rather than just theory-based. So to actually get out there and apply the learning. There is still, there's still theory to learn, but I guess the difference is that you learn the theory, then you're applying it, and that happens with all our courses. So one might ask, why study with Whatira and WellTech? Compared to universities, the classes are smaller, they're not huge lecture halls. Again, it's practical, industry relevant qualifications. We have local campuses with purpose-built facilities. We have specialised tutors focus on your success, vibrant campus communities, and great academic, cultural and pastoral care. That pastoral care area is really important at Polytechnic. There's a lot of student services that are available to our learners, and that following up with students is really important. So every student in our programs are known as a person. You're not just a number. Your tutors follow up, and there's other people in the service area, the student service area, who who do that as well. Here's all our different campuses. You can see Porirua campus, Welltec and Petone. Then we've got our construction site that's in Petone as well, known as J Block, but we do offer trades as well in Porirua. And then there's our hospitality campus, and we share those facilities with Gordon Bleu and Cuba Street, Wellington. And then into Oaha campus is all our creative programs, which I'll touch on. This is looking at the tertiary staircase, similar to what Joey touched on before. So if we have our foundation level at levels 2 to 4, certificates 2 to 4, and there's some level 5 certificates as well, diplomas, and then your degrees and postgrad. And there's entry requirements for all those as well. Now, this is just our programs now, what you can learn at Whitireia, Porirua and Te Auaha and Petone Welltec. So we've got our creative and performance. All our creative and performance is based in Wellington at Te Auaha. So one can come and do writing, screen production, dance, drama, musical theatre, creative industries, digital media, and music. And that's again, performance. Dance is the same. And it's open to the public. When, for example, for dance, they'll learn the piece, and then at certain times of the year, they'll open the doors to the public so that they can come in and see their shows and actually witness it. That's a really good way of seeing if it's something that you want to do. And this is our built environment, including architectural technology, quantity surveying. That's all at Petone. Business, innovation and technology. That's on both campuses, Petone and Porirua. So you can start with the foundation, business and admin, and then IT. IT can begin at certificate level up to postgrad. With business administration, there's always a technology component with it as well, and they work in a simulated office space. So it's set up like an office, and people actually practice, the students in that area practice the skills that they'll be required to do if they were in an office, working in an office, so that they really enjoy it. That's what applied learning is all about. Then we've got the diploma of business, IT, degrees, etc. And in Cuba Street, this is our cookery and hospitality, baking. You do hospitality management as well. Very popular, very demanding as well. You know, to be a chef is quite a demanding job to have. And many of the students study while working as well. So it's just ensuring that they can fit everything in. Some of their papers are delivered online, so it can sort of work in that way. Then we've got our health programs, which is predominantly based at Porirua. Enrolled nursing, our nursing degree, first responders, paramedics, health and well-being. It's a huge nursing school at Whitireia Porirua and very popular. We put out excellent nurses. Whitireia is well known for this. And we have wonderful labs. I actually had a visiting group just the other day, and one of the lecturers there at Whitireia, Phil, had them in the lab, the simulation lab, and they just absolutely loved it. You know, they had mannequins there that could talk, and they had St. John people there, so they saw it all and can see what you can actually do as a paramedic. That was wonderful. And he showed how the lecturers, tutors can stand behind the glass area and control the mannequins. So if the mannequin, if you want to work on a heart, you'll be able to do that, etc. It's almost like real. Just the people watching it just was in awe. Then we have our, oh, that's flipped on, our automotive engineering and construction trades. That's mainly based in Petone. Our construction trades is at J Block in Petone, but we do have some trades automotive in Porirua as well, the lower levels, and our engineering is in Petone campus as well. And then we've got our Pacific Māori Performing Arts, and also our nursing Pacific program, and that is being delivered in Rarotonga as well. That's just been approved by the Rarotonga government and the Nursing Council in New Zealand. So that's something that we're quite proud of. And we also have Māori nursing in there under our Te Wānanga Māori. So everything's online. If you to apply, you make an inquiry, and it's all online, and you submit that. Or you can go on to campus. We have enrollment advisors available there who can talk to you. So there's lots of people actually on campus that can help you navigate the journey. There's people like us, the Pathways team, enrollment advisors, learner support services, Ākonga Māori, Pacific support, and we also have our international student support who can help. Yeah.
Cool.
So
Thank
there's lots of programs on study, as you know, Joey, at Whitireia and WellTech. Yeah, and many of our students have successful study journeys. So I'm not sure how long you've been working there, Joey.
I've been at WellTech. Well, we started at WellTech, as I've mentioned, in facilities. I worked there for around 7 years in Petone, and then I began teaching in 2015 at WellTech School of Health and School of Social Services. Used to have a campus in Church Street. Started there until they opened the postgraduate in Master of Professional Practice, where I teach now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyone who may have questions either for Marama or myself, feel free. You can speak in Tagalog. I do understand Tagalog. Filipino. Pwede po kayo magsalita ng Filipino. And feel free to ask questions if you have any.
Yeah, well, university study is not for all, as we know. So this is just another option. Small classes, I've already talked about the advantages.
Jude, do you have some question? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, thank you. So my question is about the ITO, Joey, or maybe Marama can answer that. I have a current ITO learner, and then because you mentioned that in 2023, there is a possibility that all the ITO learners or ITO as an actual group would be shifting. Am I right? Would be shifting to what do you call this? Either Wananga.
Yes, they
or-
transition over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, because that learner is under ITO and he is also doing well, but actually, if he moves to any of those three that you mentioned, so what are the requirements so that he can get in?
Get
Is it
into
a tall order that he moves to either Piterea or Wananga branch or PTE?
You want to answer that, Marama, or you want me to
well,
answer that?
it'll be just be part of the transition if they're already enrolled. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no big
Yeah.
there's no big change for the student, I would
Ah.
say. So
Mhm.
the ITO would still be a very big part of the Pukinga.
Very
Mhm.
much so. Yeah.
So they're just actually coming together because prior to this joining together, now they work
Mhm.
independently and they just coordinate with, say, for example, Welltech or Fiterea. But now
Yeah.
they're becoming closer in terms of providing
Mm.
education to the students or to the apprentices. So it's the process would be easier for the student in a sense. So no big difference,
No.
but it's much a big
And no
advantage
issues.
and no issues, I'm sure.
No, no.
Mm.
And while they're still there, like this year, they'll be known as the ITO, whatever ITO it is that the students is attached to. But when they enroll next year, it'll be a Pukinga enrollment. That's the only difference.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other question or concern?
Yeah, it's a easy PowerPoint to follow, and you have a copy of it, Joey.
Sure.
Yeah. Try to keep it as simple as possible so it's easy to follow.
Just in terms of entry requirements, for example, it's quite clear that as long as a person is 16 years old and there's no actually maximum age, anyone can be part of the apprenticeship program.
Definitely.
Yes.
They are interviewed though, and we do look at what they have already. Yeah, and if secondary school really isn't working for that student, then it might be something serious to look at to see if they can start it, start with us. Because the student may have level 1 already, and they could come into a level 2 program depending on what it is that they want to do. But our intention is always to encourage students to stay at school for as long as they can and get education while it's free. That should be the encouragement always. But for some students, it's not for them. And we've heard, and because we work closely in that market as well, we've been hearing from quite a lot of careers people. It's probably to do with COVID as well, that our young people are becoming disengaged because of COVID, and they've been in lockdown, and it's had an impact on the young people. So it's a lot of work in our schools, our secondary schools, to motivate those students again to get back, to what they knew before. Because it doesn't mean that they'll automatically just come to tertiary, if they're already disengaged. It's just looking at different ways.
And I think, can you hear me now, Joey?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I think that's the beauty of having the opportunity to actually pursue studies outside university, and it's
Yeah.
for our parents actually that this is a pathway that your children can look at while they are still looking for what do they want to be, you know, in terms of pursuing a university degree, for example. They might want to pursue that later on,
Yeah.
but while they are still, you know, trying to find, you know, what they want to do, then they can start apprenticeship. Is that right?
Yeah.
Just to find their feet in the career force early on.
Thanks, Maya.
Sometimes they're not, you know, sometimes they don't know till they're a bit older.
Yeah.
But as long as they're doing something and picking up those skills, because everything that you do, you're learning skills all the
That's right.
time.
I think the main thing in Only is that, you know, they just come into the school and support will be there. Even though I don't know what
Yeah.
to do, just saying, I don't know what to do, can you help me? Isn't it? So someone can always guide them
Yeah.
in doing something.
Yeah, just to add up, there is always actually someone to ask for help for when it comes to studying here. Even in the university, we offer a lot of help desk and tutorials, and
Yeah.
and
They need
other-
that, eh? Yeah.
Thank you very much for your sharing, Marama. As we were just discussing prior, when the facilitators group were working onto it, we were just talking about how great it is here in New Zealand that we have these opportunities to actually go into vocational pathways, because back home, and this is a complete, this is where we need to have that mind shift as well as migrants, that always parents will be looking at, no, you have to finish university. It is a must that you need to finish university, but not really looking into what their children are feeling and about university studies. As you've mentioned, it's not for everyone. Yeah, and so here in New Zealand, it's great that we have these opportunities to explore that can meet the needs of the children and their interest. Yeah.
And not one way fits all. So,
That's right. Yeah.
you know, and plumbers can become millionaires as they are.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very
Hard
true.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jude?
Yes, I'd like to raise this question because it's not only, it's personal because it's about my older son, but actually I will raise the question nonetheless because it can be helpful also to the other parents who are listening as well or attending, or maybe our prospective audience. So my older son is actually presently studying at Pitirea. So he's taking up IT. It's actually his second course, but he really loves it. It's one of his passions. So my question is for him, but he's actually working today. So what are the specific possibilities of internship that he will have? Because you mentioned IT, right, as a component, so that he can further his what do you call this, the skills. At the same time, he can have prospective employment later. So
Yes, definitely in IT.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and he's got a great program manager, Tony, who really pushes for that and get businesses involved. Yeah.
Yeah, so often there are activities that even at WellTech, and of course WellTech and Pitirea are one now, and whatever one school does, it covers the other one. So at WellTech, I remember they would invite industries to come on one of those days and talk to the students or engage with the students even before they finish their qualification. And these are actually opportunities for the students to engage with prospective employers. You know, in IT, it's a very fast moving industry. You have to keep up with developments all the time. And it's good always to be doing something, because if you get vacant or stagnant for 1 year, some of your skills may already be outdated. So it's always to be doing or engage in something, whatever the direction that your son Jude would like to go on, because there are several areas that he can pursue in terms of IT. Iba-iba. You have your security, you have your programming, you have your
Yeah.
networking, and all those things. So picking one or two as his focus would be good, and really focus on that long term. Even though it's small steps, as long as engage continuously in that industry. So
That's good.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's the important thing, just those small steps.
yeah,
But there's
Yeah.
lots of opportunities there. And he's halfway there already. You mentioned that he's loving it.
Mm.
Yes.
So
yes.
yeah.
What year is he now?
I think it's like it's a kind of a complex one, because he started with I think level 4 last year. It's his second year actually now, but he mentioned something about next year I will be formally level. Your question, it might be a bridging one. I'm not really very privy to that, but
Mm.
he mentioned something like he's on a bridging course, which
Mm.
means maybe from level 4 and then jumping off to level 7 next year.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah.
probably starts his bachelor next year.
Yes, yeah, that could be. Yeah, that could
Yeah.
happen. That
Yeah.
if they're level 5 or level 4, they take a particular course and they can
Yeah.
be admitted into
Mm.
a bachelor's program.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
Good
is
on him.
promising, isn't it? It's good.
Yeah, very
It's good.
promising.
Mm.
Mm-mm. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thanks.
Another question. No.
Yeah.
If ever my daughter could come here, si Denise, university entrance siya, tapos dito noong 2017,
Mm.
and then graduating siya ngayon sa Pilipinas ng legal management. So ang
Mm.
tanong ko, kung makarating siya rito, yung bang university entrance niya, ma-apply pa niya uli yun kahit na mahaba na yung gap?
As far as I know, sa university education is that I think the entrance apply for those below 20. Tama ba, Ahmed?
Opo.
So below 20, you may be required to go through the university entrance. But if you are 20 or a certain age, you can be accepted into the university right away. If you, of course, depending on the program as well. So hindi lahat ng program ay tatanggap sa'yo based sa iyong background. But you can be accepted.
I think, Ate Lisa, if I understand your question right, it's because Denise actually finished her college here, right?
Yeah.
And she
Yes.
took her university entrance before she went back to the Philippines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think she can still use
She
that
can
because,
claim it.
again, it's the NCEA achievement that she has accomplished, and here will be credited all the time. It's there, so she can use it anytime.
Yeah. It's like a building block, so it's always there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And when it comes to apprenticeship, is it free for if ever na maging temporary resident yung dalawa? Ma-avail ba niya yung free apprenticeship?
It would be good to check in terms of visa conditions and all those things, but I don't think it's a big hindrance. In terms of resident visa holders, I know that in the university they cannot avail of the first year free education or even in ITP. So they have to wait for a certain period of time, I think 2 years, before they can have that first year tuition zero fees that domestic or residency, permanent residents enjoy. So it may be worth checking if in terms of apprenticeship, whether there are some implication on that if they are on a temporary visa.
Mhm.
But But yeah, it would be good to check on that, because I believe as well that there are so many industries that are actually lacking employees, and there could become some conditions that they may put, but they would definitely welcome as well another person to train and to be part of their team.
Yeah. Anyway, si Marie naman, nakatapos naman sa Pilipinas ng hospitality o NC2. Hopefully, makakuha ng job.
And the good thing po, if meron siyang if she was able to acquire any qualifications in the Philippines, that could still be credited here. Meron tinatawag na recognition of prior learning sa mga in institutions, universities, and polytechnics. And I think even in apprenticeships or PTEs, they have recognition of prior learning. So all the things that they have learned, even po work experience or any qualifications that they have acquired in the Philippines, I think it could be credited here.
Okay. That's
I think
good.
you can have your qualifications assessed sa NZQA.
Yep.
Then yung NZQA maglalagay ng kung anong level yon equivalent. Then yun, she can either go straight to work or higher education. Tama ba?
And sometimes it doesn't have to go to NZQA. I think the institutions themselves have their own their own assessment process. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kuya Joey, with Piteria.
Yeah, so we do. I sit on the board of studies in Federea, so that's where all these RPLs, course cross credits applications, when, for example, a particular student would like to use courses that they've taken before somewhere to be credited or recognized in Federea. So they have to provide some evidence. So when we say RPL, for example, recognition of prior learning, so kailangan ipakita nila na yung kanilang the course that they are applying to for RPL have some evidence that would support yung learning outcomes ng course. So it could be being employed in a particular area. It can also be some courses or even modules taken, short courses that have been taken somewhere, and that go as a kind of a portfolio as evidence that this student has met the learning outcomes of that course that that person is applying for. Cross credit would mean that exactly the same. Say, for example, the 30 credit course in Federea, say in nursing, tapos yung isang bata ay kumuha ng nursing sa Pilipinas, more or less medyo comparable yung learning outcomes, at the same time the number of credits that this person will have. So easily, kung ano yung grade nung bata doon sa Pilipinas can be transferred as the grade for this course when coming to Federea. So ganun yung sistema. Sa prior learning, recognition of prior learning, walang grade na involved. So it's just put in their transcript that this course has been assessed and recognized as a prior learning. So they don't need to take that course anymore, and they can proceed for the next course that is required. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think one of the things that pwede nating i-share, lalong-lalo na sa ibang mga parents, is that actually in terms of success for the children, there are so many pathways.
Yeah.
It's not only the university, it's not even just the ITP apprenticeship. So it depends on the passion and the interest of the child. As long as this is encouraged, people can be successful in life. No, there's no straight path. That's what I'm saying. There are so many opportunities and pathways for people to achieve their dreams in New Zealand, particularly.
Mhm.
Yeah, as I've mentioned earlier, it's that shift in mindset for us as migrants, because we are a product of our experience. So for us, for you parents, who grew up and graduated in the Philippines, then that's your experience. And I have a friend, and I are you happy for me to share it, Joey, the one that I shared with you before?
Sure.
With her experience, because and she's happy for me to share it with you, just so that you will understand that it's really the child's interest that's important, and not what our dreams for them. You know, we can dream for them, but eventually, you know, it will always be what do they want, you know, and what are their interests. And because she said, of course, my dream for my children when we came here in New Zealand is for them to finish a degree, for them to have a diploma, and for them to be working wearing, you know, suit and ties. And so I did everything for my child. I even told him, I will pay for your tuition fee. You're not going to spend anything. You're not going to apply for student loans and all that, without recognizing that her child did not really want to pursue engineering course. Yeah, what he wants to do is to be a builder, which is, you know, it's in the same industry, but he doesn't want to be working in the office. He wants to be actually doing it on the ground, doing it. But she kept on pushing her child, and she did not realize that she's actually driving her to depression, and driving him to depression, her son. And then so he went a little bit hayward, you know, took drugs and all that, until she realized that, what am I doing to my child? And so she sat down with him and said, what do you want to do? And so they had a heart-to-heart talk. And the child said, this is what I want to do, Mom. And so she allowed her son to do that. She went into, you know, become a builder and all that. And she said, you know, of course, it still pains me to see him coming home dirty, you know, and all that, but I can see him happy. So that just made me happier as well. And so she said, I had to completely change my thinking about, you know, university degrees and the success of my children. And because at one point, even one of her children also told her that is your dream, Mom. It's not my dream to become a nurse. That's your dream, but that's not what I want to do. And so that's when the second child actually told her that. That's when she really had to stop and think about, you know, what she's doing to her children. And so now her children are really successful. And her son is now actually starting to build a business in the building industry.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's just a little snippet on, you know, for us as adults, as parents, how our thinking can affect our children's, you know, happiness and future. Yeah.
MJ, do you have something to add or to share or to ask?
Yeah, so this is just in support of what Maya said. Anyway, I mentioned last time about it, changing the mindset really of Filipino parents. So to put that in context, for example, I have two sons, and they have different pathways, because while the older one graduated psychology in the Philippines, and then when he came here, he didn't want to apply, he didn't want to practice his his license. But what could we do as parents? He didn't like it, so which means that he saw that pathway, which is now in IT. And he's very happy. He's very passionate with what he's doing. And we said as parents, yeah, okay, so we will support you. And the other one has a different pathway. This is uni. So which means that I have two children, different pathways, different opinions. So that means we just have to support them as parents. Yeah, Maya, you're right. Thanks.
That's the least that we can do.
Yeah.
And I guess it's so important to expose parents to all of these options, because coming from the Philippines, you don't have many options. You have very, very limited options.
That's very true.
And if you want to succeed in your life, you've got very limited options for school, for courses even. And that pretty much sets you up whether you're going to be successful or not. And that's why it's a massive change, because you've been brought up that way for many generations of that kind of thinking. And suddenly we're here in a place where, oh, there are a lot of options. And so if we can only make them see all of these options and like, yep, plumbing, yep, you can be a millionaire with that job. You don't need to have a white collar job working in an office or a big company. Then that's also one of the options. There's no shame in all of those types of professions.
Yeah, that's very true. And I can really relate with that as well, what you're saying, Jab, because primarily it has been put into us that you have really to study, you make sure that you finish your tertiary education, because there's no way that even for a simple security guard in the Philippines, for a simple job that you apply there, for example, as a, how do you say, the one in malls, or all these people who are attending to you in the malls. Before even you get those jobs, you are required to, you have a tertiary education, so a kind of a diploma to show us now. So even those low-paying job in the Philippines, so you would really be required to prove that you have finished university or college there. So the drive really for parents is complete your studies, because you will go nowhere if you don't have a tertiary education qualification.
I think that's because competition for a job in the Philippines is
Quite high.
very high. There are so many graduates every year, and unfortunately job opportunities is very limited. So even at low paying jobs, the employers have this luxury of requiring a tertiary qualification, because they know that there are so many graduates, there are so many people looking for a job. And in order for them to be able to make a selection or a screening process, one of the things that they require is at least you have a tertiary qualification. And that's what makes it difficult, because like what we're talking about right now is that it gives you a very limited option if you don't have a tertiary qualification, because even the low paying jobs would require a tertiary qualification because of competition, which is totally opposite here in New Zealand.
Grabe, like my nephew who first worked in Jollibee, they were asking for some tertiary education, at least college or high school graduate, and then some tertiary education. That's a fast food. Anyone can work there. You don't need that qualification. But in the Philippines, the options are very, very, very limited.
And that mentality, that kind of thinking, of course, when we move here, we carry it along with us. We are beginning to be aware of it, but still at the back of our mind that we have to make sure that the kids have finished their, highest qualification ever that they can get. So as much as possible, driving them to do that one subconsciously.
Just to share with the group, what Ate Mai has shared earlier is also the same thing that happened with my cousin, and they wanted my nephew to finish a degree and finish his studies, but my nephew is on the process of soul searching, knowing what he wants, and suddenly he decided that I don't want to go to school anymore, and it became a problem in the house, and to the point that what my Ate Mai has shared is that to the point that it caused depression. But in this case, it did not cause a depression, but some sort of a rebellion from my nephew, because my cousin told me that he left the house because of the conflict. But I think it's my nephew just wanted to clear his head. Then he came back, and he told his mom that he doesn't feel finishing the degree or continuing with his studies. So I told my cousin that it's different. What we experience back in the Philippines is a lot different here in New Zealand. Studying in the university is not an end goal here. It's just one of the options, and Even
Yeah.
even if if my nephew doesn't want to continue studying in the university, that's okay. We can provide him with other options because there are a lot of options here. It's different. That it's just that I think the problem is that it's the situation that we experienced in the Philippines was so inked into us that we think that it's still what we should what our children will experience, what we have experienced back in the Philippines, we also experience here. The reason why we have these sessions to educate us, to make us understand the differences of
Yeah.
the situation.
There are other ways.
Yeah.
I would ask you, Marama, what are the main concerns you hear from parents when they approach you or some of the students?
Exactly what you've been voicing. Yeah, and I often see it even in interviews,
Mm,
you know, and parents trying to take over the interviews.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're trying to find out exactly what it is that the student, the learner wants. Yeah,
Mm,
same issues.
yeah.
We can always
There
tell
are.
parents,
Yeah.
there is no maximum age in entering university here in New Zealand. Yeah, because when I took my graduate diploma, I was quite surprised because back home, Marama, it's like at the age of 21, you should have finished your university degree. Yeah, and then when I came here, when I did my graduate diploma at Victoria, I was quite surprised because my classmates were 60 years old, 55 years old, and it's their first time to be at university. And I said, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, age is not a barrier.
Yeah, the opportunities are there. Yeah.
I remember one of the common things that our parents tell us is that we are not that rich, so the only treasure, the only inheritance that we're going to give to you is your education. So you should finish your education.
Yeah.
That's what our parents usually tell us in the Philippines.
Yeah, well, we just want the best, really, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, the best for our children.
Oh, Cecil, you've been very quiet.
Yeah, because I'm also part of WellTech and Fiteria, so I fully understand what's happening in our workplace, and I even encourage some of my friends to have a look if they wanted a new like a career change to check our website. They might need you mean upskill or something. Yeah, thanks for the sharing. It's all enlightening and so good.
Yeah, so I would like to encourage everyone here, if you want to change career, come over at Fiteria and WellTech.
You might hear from me on Monday, Marama.
Ako mag-teacher.
I will welcome you.
Thank you for that suggestion, Cecil. Very good.
Yeah.
That's actually a good thing because I mean, at some point in our lives, we sometimes find ourselves in a stagnant situation.
Yeah.
You find maybe I can do something else, and it's a good thing in here that you have that option.
And now
You can
that we're
really answer your why. Finding your why.
gives people other options now that we're hit with the pandemic, diba? Like you realize that you have to be very flexible or you have to have a lot more skills.
Yeah.
So if your job doesn't, survive.
Yep. That's true. Anything else? I don't want to prolong this if you don't have any other things that you would like to. You don't have any other things to discuss?
Yeah, I do have a question. Hi guys, I'm Ria. This is the first time I've joined you guys.
Ria's from Kapiti as well.
Welcome, Ria.
Yeah.
Hi. So in line with that string of conversation where we, the parents, can also think about changing careers and pathways. I'm looking at 2 level 4 certificates. And I guess my question is, is it quite frowned upon, getting certificates left and right in my search, I guess, for the right
Never.
Never, never. So
Frowned upon by whom?
I'm not too sure. Maybe, I'm guessing like, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing. She has so many
No.
certificates. etc.
Well, not at
And-
Fetidere and Weltic anyway.
Okay.
yes,
All
yeah.
right.
So
It will be
I can,
celebrated, Raya.
Yeah.
That's- that's true. Sometimes I have this privilege of seeing a lot of CVs from both Weltec and Viterra, and they list everything. Some of them list everything that they have completed. It could be level 3. It could just be several modules that they have done. Say level 4 in education. Some courses done here and there. So they put it there as a kind of as Marama said, that the building blocks, the
Yeah.
portfolio that you have, the learnings shows that all the experiences and skills and qualifications that you have done in the past is something that is good.
It's a lifetime journey, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Anong balak
Thank
mong
you.
kunin, Rhea?
Mhm. I work in police communications, so I'm looking at level 4. I forgot, something like communication center, and the other one is level 4 adult learning or teaching.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so
Do you have
So, yeah,
a
so-
do you have a
Yes.
degree in the Philippines or here?
of course I do. It's a physiotherapy. It's so far
Physiotherapist.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For adult teaching, I think there are some free courses that you can take. Do you know about that?
Free courses.
Well, I've
Yeah.
already so I already have a level 4 with
Oh.
business
Mhm.
administration, and
Mhm.
also another level 2 or 3. So
Mm.
like I said, my building blocks are quite high.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. Ask about bachelor's degree, because if you're thinking of doing courses, maybe we can do the courses above bachelor's, postgrad.
You could go
Yeah.
straight to graduate
Yeah.
diploma, Raya.
A graduate diploma or postgraduate diploma. So if you're thinking of education, we have a postgraduate postgraduate education paper, and at Weltec and Viterra. Focuses just to share. In teaching, especially in Viterra and Weltec now, you would be required to have an adult teaching qualification.
Yeah.
That's a level 5 qualification at the least, which is being offered by Open Polytechnic or SIT.
Yes.
Or Otago University in some, not level 5 levels. But what I'm saying is that in our program, we have a level 8 education paper that many of our teaching staff at Weltec and Viterra take in order for them not to take any more the level 5. So that's level 8, 1 semester. But from what I know, the SIT as well as the Open Poly courses actually is divided in several modules, and each module can be a bit overwhelming, I would say, and it can be taken several semesters. So to complete that level 5 qualification. So if you are considering about adult teaching course, have a look at that, and I can provide you some guidance on it as well.
awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad I asked.
This is what this community, the Learning Hub, is all about.
That's great. Thanks.
Cool.
So Joey,
Yes.
can I just follow up with the level 8 that
Mhm.
you're referring to? Because I know that, yeah, it's really, it's just a short term, isn't it? And then
One semester.
yeah, if you get to finish it, so that means it's a saving for money. Maybe not, maybe it's about saving up the efforts, right, in the time. So my question is, how many credit points, by the way, and then what are the courses or papers that are being focused on in one term only?
This is, what's your first question? Anong level? What's the focus? The focus of the paper is actually putting you into a situation where you're going to develop a kind of a education package for adult learners. So in line with the Polytechnic way of delivering things, you will be guided to develop that package. So you will be doing that and coming with certain learning outcomes and how you're going to deliver it. And then you will be asked to present it in front of the team and in front of your peers. So it's a kind of a development of a particular course within your industry or within your professional practice. So in terms of the courses that is leading to, this is actually, that course is one of the few courses within the postgraduate program in professional practice at WellTech and FITERIA. So since it's a broad kind of focus, it caters to different professionals. So as we have a good number of educators coming to us, that particular paper suit them. But some students do not take that because education is not their focus. So other people would focus on leadership, for example. So they're going to take the leadership paper. Those in management and all those things take that kind of direction. So, but to complete the, for example, the postgraduate diploma in professional practice, you need to get the research methods as well. So that's a level 8 paper. That's a prerequisite. That's a requirement. And then you can choose either to take diversity or education or leadership. And there are some other courses as alternative to complete the program. And of course, if you're wanting to do your master's, you can either do a small research project, 45 credit research project, or a 90 credit thesis that you're going to do for 1 year. And just this year, which I'm also teaching, is what we call the professional practice project, a 60 credit paper that is being done by the students for 1 year. So they're going to develop a kind of address a particular issue in their workplace and to provide solutions for that. But they're also guided. It's not a thesis, it's not a research project. It's addressing a particular problem. Say if you are in a aged care sector, so you may identify a particular problem based on literature, based on evidence. How do you address or provide solution to that particular problem? So yeah, it's a kind of a building blocks as well. One course can lead to another until you complete the 180 required, 180 credits required to complete the master's qualification.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, MJ?
Yes. Thank you. Very helpful and very informative. So my probably the question that I could ask is it offered every year so that
yes.
think about it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, most of the courses are offered every year, but depending on the numbers, we sometimes shift some of the courses. But generally, you have always an option to take for the year. So thesis is offered in July to finish the following year. Professional practice project, the 60 credit that I just described, is offered in February and you finish it by November. But the education paper will be offered this second semester along with the leadership. Research methods is offered in first semester in February. And yeah, so there's always something that you can do after if you want to pursue.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Joey, with the professional practice project, could that lead into your master's thesis?
Yeah, no, you don't need to take the master's thesis anymore. So
yeah,
that's the third option because so you have your thesis. For example, given you've already completed all the courses that are required, done research methods, done education, done leadership. So you have already 90 credits. If you're taking the professional project pathway, you will need another one, say diversity. So you have already 120 credits, and you need only 60, which is the professional practice project, so that you have 180 credits.
180, yeah.
And you complete your master's with that. So if you're taking the thesis, you don't need a fourth paper. So you have your 90 for the 3 courses, and you have the 90 credit thesis. So, and that completes your 180 for your master's.
Because if you want to pursue level 10, you have to do the thesis, is that right? Instead of the professional practice project.
Yeah,
or you
so
can do either.
Most of the universities require that you write a thesis if you are going for your PhD here. But no, so there's a difference between a PhD and a doctorate. So a doctorate can be a more practical way of doing your doctoral studies. A PhD is high level theory-based way of doing things. So you would be required to write your thesis to be updated, and have one of the main requirements only is actually you have to show them your thesis or some publications that you may have already done in the past, and then show them that you have finished a master's or a level 9 qualification. Some people may accept, some universities may accept you if you have not written your thesis but have proven some practical experience around your area, which is, that means that some people can still be open. I would like to mention here as well that we are actually, if you are thinking of doing your PhD, there's a free, how expensive it is to study here in New Zealand, isn't it? But there's one way that you can do it. As a New Zealand permanent resident and citizen, you can actually have your free PhD in Australia. Okay, so that's free. That's a kind of a arrangement with Australia and New Zealand. So, and you can do that. So of course they have their own requirements as well, just to search for it. So for example, Australians can come here and be accepted in our schools for free as New Zealand citizens. I think that's one of the bargain as well, that if you do either a master's or a PhD in Australia, you can do it for free. So
you don't have to worry about your cost of living.
Well, there are online PhDs.
It's
too.
online.
Yeah, if you can do an online PhD, you can do that. So some universities may just require you to do some some sessions or face-to-face sessions there from time to time, but some PhDs can be done online. So do consider that.
Is it just certain universities in Australia?
Oh, that's across.
Right across.
Yeah, because that's a similar to Australians coming here doing whatever they want to do here as Australians. We can also do that, I think. So Australians can come here and have student loans and all those things and do other things. But if you go to study for your PhD and masters even to Australia, you can do that for free.
Isip lang yun.
Ako na mag-aral.
Yok na magturo, so na mag-aral. I want to be the learner this time.
Actually, that's true.
Yeah.
Good. Any other question? So thank you very much, Marama. We've been really wonderful. Hopefully you find it a useful conversation for everyone else. Thank you,
Marama.
Okay.
Marama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we just.
And you know where I am, so just contact me for.
Yeah,
if you
I'll
need
pop
anything
up in
else.
your one of these days in your.
Yeah.
office. You're based in Porirua, isn't it?
Porirua, but we move around.
Oh yeah. Sometimes do you go to Pitoni?
Tony, yes.
Hi, Malaya.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Kakite.
thank you, Marama.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marama. Bye.
Bye.
Kakite.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for your participation.
Cool. Any other question?
And other questions?
Maganda daw
Next.
mag-talk tayo naman ng isang another session para sa parents lang ba?
para hindi puwersahin yung mga
For
anak.
those,
Yeah.
for those who want to